Hi, everyone. Welcome to Human Physiology Summer 2021. I'm Professor Kernan, and I'm going to be your lecture instructor for this 8-week course. Now, I'm going to give you a little orientation here as a video, but I expect that you'll carefully read through the entire orientation module, including reading the syllabus. So I'm not going to read the syllabus to you today in this video. Okay, so it is 8 weeks. This is very fast. Okay, this means instead of having 2 lectures and 2 labs a week, you have 4 lectures and 4 labs a week. So that is full time. It will be at least 40 hours a week when you add everything up. Okay, you need to watch the lectures every week, which are recorded, and the links will be available to you, and they're also on YouTube. So if you want to go to find me, type in my first and last name, Katie Kernan, on YouTube, you'll see my YouTube channel, and you can subscribe or save it however you want to, and you'll see that the lectures are broken into exam 1, 2, 3, and 4, or you can simply follow along in our modules on Canvas and use the links there. Okay, so it's very fast. And in addition to watching the lectures every week, you will also have weekly lecture discussions, 2 posts, so basically 2 free response questions, or dig a little deeper. So they take a little bit of time, and you also need to read through the rest of the individuals in your group, because you're not allowed to repeat anything that's already been done. So those posts take a little chunk of time. Okay, and then before each exam, you'll also have a review assignment, which is also going to be in groups, and then of course studying the actual content, right? And attending my office hours. I really hope to see each of you in office hours. And then the other component of the course would be lab, which will be with Professor Ernst. She will have weekly lab modules. All of your assignments for lab will be there. You're going to meet live twice a week. So depending on if you are 201 or 202, that will dictate the schedule that you're on. So I want to first go over real briefly the Canvas page. Now, I assume if you're watching this video, you probably have already gone through the Canvas page, but just to make sure everyone's on the same page and we all get off to a good, strong start, I'm going to show you the Canvas page. So let me go ahead and stop sharing this screen for a moment and make sure I'm sharing my actual desktop. And then we can go to our homepage. Okay, so when you go to Canvas, you first open Canvas, you see your dashboard. I have a bunch of classes, don't worry about that. You'll only see the one that says Summer 2021 Human Physiology, unless you're enrolled in more courses, which I really don't recommend. And then you should see our homepage. Our homepage tells you a little welcome, a little bit about the course, and how to get started, which is a little bit repetitive of this video, I'll be honest. And here I've told you that you will, if you're in section 201, you're going to meet on Mondays and Wednesdays with your lab instructor. And that requires that you've already completed those labs. And she'll talk to you about that in her video. And then section 202 would be on the Tuesday, Thursday schedule. So because we have 2 sections combined into one Canvas shell, when you go to the syllabus tab, you'll see 1 syllabus for everyone, but 2 different schedules. So if you registered as 201, make sure you're looking at the 201 schedule. And likewise, if you're in 202, look at the 202 schedule, okay? I would download these, save them, maybe even print them out so you can see them physically, highlight, make notes, right? This will be your life for these 8 weeks, okay? And it is a little, it could be a little confusing because of the twice a week meetings instead of 4 times a week. You're doubling up what you do in person, right? So this first lab, you will actually complete together during the live session. So that will be different. For the remaining labs, you have to actually complete them before you attend the live session. And so your due dates are going to be every Sunday, the first 2 labs of the week, and every Tuesday, the second 2 labs of the week. And so that's kind of an odd schedule for your lab assignments, but that's again dealing with meeting twice a week instead of 4 times a week. And then for lecture, it's a little more simple. Is just every Friday you're going to turn in 2 posts. So let's go see what that looks like. So the first thing you should always do is, go to the homepage, see what I don't have any announcements right now, but throughout the semester, as I post announcements, the first few announcements will be at the top of the homepage. And then, of course, you can always reference the homepage for if you need to remind yourself about anything, or if you want to contact us. So my office hours are going to be on Thursdays from 1 to 3 p.m. and the link will be in the weekly module. And then your office hours for lab, you probably won't need because you have those live lab sessions. But if you do, your lab instructor will be available on Tuesdays, 1 to 2. Okay, so if I were you, I would reserve not only your weekly lab meeting time, but also our office hours. Keep those open and plan to attend them. Even if you don't have questions ready to ask us, you will benefit from hearing other people's questions. And then you might think of questions as you're hearing your classmates' questions and hearing my answers. Okay. And so office hours are optional, but I really encourage you to do that. That will also help keep you accountable with watching the lectures regularly. Okay, don't let them pile up. Exams, you also need to be available during these days and times for your exams. Okay, so the lecture exam will be first thing 9 in the morning to 10:20 a.m. and then your lab exams will be from 10:30 to 12. You get a little more time for your lab exam because there can be math. I'm trying to think. I don't know if every single lab exam has math, but most of them, if not all of them, will have some math. So we give you more time for those. Whereas for lecture, it'll just be multiple choice. So these are non-negotiable. If you're not available during these days and times for your exam, then this class is not for you. Okay. Same if you're saying to yourself that there's certain live lab days that you're not able to, or you can never attend office hours, then I would strongly encourage you to reconsider if you actually have the time to devote to this class. Okay. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to really make sure you understand the intensity of the summer course. And moreover, I want everyone to succeed and have a really good positive experience. And the best way to have a good positive experience with this class is to be fully engaged and working on this course every single day. Okay. Now it's a module-based course. So after you've visited the homepage and you've seen if there's any announcements, then the next thing you should do is click on the modules button on the left-hand side. And then you'll see, the first thing you'll see is the week 0 orientation. And go ahead and ignore this title. It looks like I maybe didn't edit this yet. This is why the Canvas page hasn't been published for you yet, quite yet. But the orientation is due Monday, June 14th. In fact, let me go ahead and just edit this. So if someone tunes out and tunes back in this video, they won't be confused. So it is due Monday, June 14th by 11:59 p.m. And this seems a little harsh, but we have no time to waste. So we have to get you started immediately, which is also why you need to have your course materials by the first day of class, June 14th. Okay. And so then you're going to open up this module. You're going to read the very first page, orientation start here. And then you're going to just go through each page and read the content and follow the instructions. So the getting started with Canvas is going to show you how to put your photo in your profile. So see how I have a little photo here. You'll do the same. It's going to show you how to set your notifications. So every time I post an announcement, you get that right away. You can choose to have it on your phone as a text or your email or both. It's up to you. And then there's a lot of other options for notifications, and I tell you which ones I recommend turning on and which ones to turn off. And then there's more information about using Canvas if you're not used to using Canvas. Some of you could be new to Canvas. Most of you are probably pretty experienced after over a year of online classes. So I do my best to make this course easy for anyone to be able to do, even if they're not used to doing online classes. But with that said, our school has a tech support to help you as well. Okay. And then after that, you're going to see guidelines, and you're going to see all of the required materials, what participation and attendance means in this course. It is an online course, but we do expect weekly participation in those live meetings. We really hope that you come to the office hours. And then we also have the weekly assignments, right? So participation is both your web presence, turning in your assignments, and then the Zoom meetings. I will break down the grading, but there's nothing special about it. So you'll see how much all the different assignments are worth, and that an A is an A, right? 90% and up is an A. So don't be on the edge, and don't email me at the end of the class asking for some way to bump up. You earn what you earn, and there's nothing I can do about that. Okay, so you're in control of your grades. You turn in your assignments, you study, and you get those good grades. Okay. And then you will see the academic integrity, what that means, and then further explaining with a little more detail of what is considered cheating and plagiarism in our class, and the consequences if you are to do that. Okay. We have a zero tolerance policy. Okay. If it seems to be a minor small mistake, such as on tell you that that's your warning. But if it was something more serious, like an entire assignment or part of an exam, for example, then we will remove you from the course. And if that's past the drop date, that means you get an F. So please don't do that. Please don't make us be the bad guy. Okay. I don't enjoy punishing anyone. And then you have your weekly physiology discussions. I explain what that is. And then you have your first discussion post, which is the introduction. Help me get to know you, and also get to know your classmates, get to know your peers. Okay. Here are resources for you, student support resources, tech support. If you don't have a reliable laptop or internet, get one from the school. Okay. In addition, you can also go to the parking lot of the school to use the Wi-Fi. But be so much better just to get the laptop in the hotspot. You can tell them what you want. You don't have to have both. You can just take what you need. Um, and then additional student support, links to schools, programs to help you. Everything from, tutoring to finding different support groups that you relate to, or even food distribution. Maybe you're struggling financially, you're making a big sacrifice coming to school. There's food distribution for you and other resources available to you. Okay. Um, then you'll find the Proctorio section. This course is using Proctorio for all of the exams. And so to prepare you for using Proctorio, we have a practice quiz and an orientation quiz. The orientation quiz is to make sure you've actually read the orientation material, including the syllabus. Okay. The practice quiz is more of a technology check to make sure you've installed the Proctorio extension and you know how to use Proctorio. Okay. The practice quiz you can take over and over again. Throughout the entire semester, the practice quiz will be open for you to take. And so I'll extend that due date so that you can continue to use it, because perhaps you get a new laptop, or for whatever reason, you want to make sure that you are still set up and ready to take your exam. So I tell everyone, take the practice quiz before each of your exams. So if there is a problem, you can take care of it beforehand. You don't want to be trying to figure out how to fix technology during your exam time. Okay. And then, like I said, orientation is specific questions about the course. So did you read the syllabus? Did you go through the module? Okay. And then the wrap up just reminds you of everything that you're supposed to have done by the end. Okay. And so that is the week 0 orientation module. And then after that, you'll find a student success folder, which is specifically advice from me to you on how to study, how to different components of being a student, being a successful student, and some resources on studying and test taking and such. And then after that folder, you'll see the very first week of lecture. And so all 4 lecture sets of slides and recordings are here. And so I would recommend looking at that syllabus schedule. So I'm going to pull up the syllabus I already have. And what I did is highlighted each week, so it's more visual. So you could print out your schedule and you could do the same thing, whatever works for you. But I've recommended that, you do chapter 1 on Monday, chapter 2 on Tuesday, chapter 3 and 4 on Wednesday, and chapter 5 on Thursday. You could certainly do 2 of them on Monday and 2 of them on Wednesday, however you want. They're links. You can watch them at any time. You can watch them over and over again, right? You can pause them constantly as you need to take notes, right? So that's one really nice benefit of online teaching, is that you have those recorded instead of being in class, and whatever you get, you get. Okay. And so that is week 1. You will go through the first 5 chapters. Now, chapter 1 is mostly review. Chapter 2 is mostly a review. Actually, chapter 2 should be completely review for you. Chapters 3 and 4 and 5 should also be mostly review. So that's why we're going so quickly through those first 5 chapters. Then you'll see we'll spend a little bit more time with like chapter 7. We'll split that into 2 separate days. And so on and so forth. So you'll see for some of these, we spend more time than others. And I've given you the recommended schedule. You can certainly get a little bit ahead, so you have more time to study and review. With the exception of, there are a few videos that I have to record. So once they're on YouTube, you're able to watch them. Okay. Once you see the link in our module, they're there for you to watch. Okay. I believe that is it for showing you the schedule, syllabus, modules, right? What that looks like. You might not see all of the weeks available at one time. You might only see the first couple weeks, and then we will continue to open up modules as we move through the course. Okay, so 1 to 2 weeks at a time is what I would say is what you'll see. Okay, you have off to the left-hand side Pisces Net Tutoring. We have 2 tutors that have already been tutoring for physio at least 1 semester, but maybe even longer. They're excellent. Please use them. They're there to help you. And you can also reach out to one another and form study groups as well. You can always click on grades to see your grades. We'll be grading constantly. And that's it, right? So home, syllabus, modules, net tutor. Here's the Zoom for your live lab meetings, and then the grades. Okay, so now let's go back to these little PowerPoint slides I made so that I wouldn't forget what I wanted to tell you. Okay, so we went through this, and just want to remind you for your first discussion is an orientation. You also will still have 2 posts for the actual lecture content due. So the first week is actually 3 discussion board posts. Okay, and when you make your introduction post in the orientation, don't forget to read and respond to at least one of your peers. Okay. All right. So course materials, and you need to complete your orientation module, okay, by Monday, June 14th, 11:59 p.m. Okay. And then you're ready to attend your first live lab meeting. Some of you 201, that'll be on Monday, 202, that'll be on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Okay. And then I already went over that. Okay, so your lecture assignments are typed because they're discussion boards. You type your responses. I recommend that you have a document that you actually have your discussions saved in, because sometimes students are working in a discussion board for a period of time and it times out and they lose their work. Okay, so save all your work. And then you can copy paste it into the discussion board as needed. So that's my recommendation. We will also have for each exam, we'll have an exam prep assignment, which will be a group work. And I'll explain that when we get to that. That's too far in the future right now. Okay. I also want to remind you, because it is such a fast course, don't fall behind. Okay. It'll be too hard to catch up. It's already hard in a regular semester. Summer is even harder because it's so fast. Okay, you need to practice excellent self-discipline to stay on track with this course and to also have time to study. Okay, so it's going to be a minimum of 8 hours a day for this course, and then you may also need extra time on the weekends. So just because it's online doesn't mean it's easier than in person. In fact, it could be harder, could take more time. So stay committed, start really strong, stay strong. It really is true that the amount of effort and engagement that you put in is what you get out. So you'll have a better experience the more you engage and commit to this class, okay? Please come to office hours. I really want to see you, meet you, answer your questions, and help you succeed in this class. I also want you guys to meet each other and help each other as well. And I already went over the Pisces Net Tutoring that's available. Study groups can be a good thing. And I talk about study groups in the student success folder. The very first file there is a letter that I wrote to you. and I talk about study groups and how to have successful, productive study groups. Okay, so that was all about our course. Hopefully you are feeling like you understand the format of our course and you're not feeling too nervous, I hope. Now I want to give you just a little bit of background about myself so you feel like you know who I am and you can talk to me. So the reason I am a community college professor is because it had a huge impact on me and um, my education and my life. So my high school experience wasn't very good, and I did not know that I was interested in science. I did not know that I was capable. I knew that I was pretty good with algebra, um, but I wasn't encouraged in any way to take more math or science. I didn't even take calculus or chemistry or any of the courses you would expect, which nowadays I don't think people would have that experience, but it's very variable, right? High school, some people have a really strong education and others have a very poor education like I did. So I started out at a community college and I was pretty nervous. I didn't know what to expect. Um, and I am so glad I had those small class sizes, got to interact with the teacher and some classmates. I got to utilize the tutoring on campus. All the things that I'm recommending to you, I've done myself as a student, and I did really well. But I was still very scared of science, and I had to take a lot of science courses before I really had the confidence to pursue a science degree. And at some point during this education, I actually, once I fell in love with science and started to, you know, determine that was my future, then I actually applied to a private school for a junior high science teacher position. And I got to do that for a couple years. Even taught a high school period of earth science, of all things. So intro to bio, intro to chemistry, intro to physics, all of those great fun fundamentals. I got to teach for a few years for junior high. I got to the point where I needed to transfer to UC Riverside, and they really, I don't know what they have going on now, but for my program, biology, at the time, it was not conducive to having a day job. So I resigned and I went full time. I lived off of scholarships, financial aid, and student loans. And I finished. So altogether, it took me 7 years between community college, working full time, and then finally my last 2 years at UC Riverside. During that time, because I wasn't working, I was able to do undergraduate research. And I was actually very fortunate that my what we call PI, the person in charge of the lab, actually did pay me a little bit for my work, but not all do. My undergraduate research was studying transmission and growth factors of bacteria and viruses in a bamboo tobacco pipe. So wanting to know like communities that have this ritual of passing around this pipe, in the afternoon and the evening. Are they spreading diseases this way to each other? In addition to spreading diseases from one person to another, they also didn't have fresh water, clean, safe water. So we looked into all sorts of things, and it was very fun and fascinating. And what we learned is that because it was made of bamboo, and because the water wasn't clean to start with, there were very high numbers of bacteria, and those bacteria could continue to grow and live for a very long time because they could actually eat the bamboo as a nutrient source. And so viruses as well can survive and be transmitted that way as well, just from the inhaling through the pipe that way. So it's like hookah, but with a bamboo. So that was my first research project, and that was my undergraduate project. I continued to stay in that lab as I went into grad school. So there was a gap between when I graduated and when the PhD program started. So I stayed there and I prepared, and I did training of visiting scholars and other undergraduates. And then I started to prepare for my PhD program. And for that, my project was, can we detect viruses which you cannot see under a microscope? You'd have to have an electron microscope to visualize those. So is there a way to detect these viruses under a regular microscope? And while it's not really a regular microscope, it's a little step up called a fluorescent microscope. They're still fairly easy to use and fairly affordable. And so this becomes a very good tool. And so I designed what we call a molecular beacon that can go inside of the cell and bind to viral genetic material, and fluoresce. So if that virus is inside that cell replicating, you will be able to see it. And I used dengue virus as my model organism, because dengue virus is a huge global problem, and there's no treatment and there's no vaccine for dengue. So that's why I chose that. And to give you a little visual of what a molecular beacon is, because you're probably wondering, what in the world did she just say? So a molecular beacon is a short strand of DNA. And the part that's on the loop is the part that will bind, complementary binding to the virus. And then the other portion shown here is the arm or stem. And that's simply made just so that it will bind together and make this hairpin loop. When it's in this hairpin loop form, the quencher and the fluorophore are close together, and that means that there's no fluorescent signal, and this means that there's no virus present. If the virus is present, then the complementary base pairing is going to overcome this shape and cause it to bind. And now the fluorophore and the quencher are so far apart that you get a very bright fluorescent signal. And that's how you know that the virus is present. And so that's what a molecular beacon is. I'm not going to test you on this, just trying to introduce you a little bit to research and what I did. And so that was my research. After my first year of grad school, finishing all of the coursework portion, I was fortunate enough to be able to start teaching at a community college, teaching microbiology. And I've continued teaching at the community college ever since. That became my goal. My whole reason for doing the graduate program was so that I could teach at community college, because I had such a good experience that I wanted to be able to be a part of that. So here's a little personal information about me. I have a kitty. Her name is Abby. You might hear or see her throughout the course in office hours. And then this is my fiance, and we do pretty much everything together. We love to cook. We listen to great music. When things open up, we're going to see some live music. We enjoy making cocktails, and of course, things, again, as they reopen, we'll go see art museums and galleries and things like that. And we are just so excited to be able to start seeing friends again, have game nights, you name it. So yes, I'm sure all of you are feeling the same way. And I'm fully vaccinated, yes, and I hope you are too. Feel free to talk to me if you have any questions about the vaccines. And that is it. Okay, so I hope you feel welcomed and encouraged and ready to have a good time. But the other personal thing about me is I'm moving from San Mateo to San Jose. So I will be close to campus finally, and very excited about that as well. So don't mind all the packages behind me. Okay, take care.